Hey all here OS Reviews, you're watching our hands-on review of the Selpic S1. This claims to be the world's first quick-drying smart handy printer. It's an ultra-small printer, and you're able to print out things like text, logos, QR codes, good for DIY projects, and for instances where you aren't necessarily printing on a really flat surface. Now this sells for $150 as the early bird price currently on Indiegogo, so it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but if you have a use case in mind, could be a really valuable tool to consider. The price includes one black cartridge, and the interesting thing here is the cartridges for different colors, there's 6 colors available, can be picked up individually. However, the pricing for the cartridges are a little on the high side, and they are proprietary. So we have 2 other demo cartridges here, one red and one blue, and the individual cartridges actually sell for around $80, which I do think is a little on the high side. If we take a quick look at their Kickstarter campaign, here's that quick video.
Quick drying, smart handy printer that prints on almost anything.
Almost anything?
Selpic can do it.
Almost anything?
Absolutely. It can print on cloth, leather, cardboard, metal, plastic, wood, glass, skin, and believe it or not, even paper. You can print words, sentences, numbers, dates, emojis, and even your own designs. Just create or upload them in Selpic's easy-to-use app.
And it should last for up to 6 hours before you need to recharge it again. Other more technical specifications include a resolution up to 600 dpi. Ink cartridges should last up to 900 pieces of A4 sized papers. That 40mm size for the cartridge is actually 5 times the capacity of the print cube. So again, the ink on here will last for up to 5 times longer. Other packaging contents include the aforementioned black ink, and here we've got access to the charging cable, which is using micro USB. That works perfectly fine, but perhaps in the next generation model I would have liked to see USB Type-C. Then there's a quick start guide that you can pull out that kind of documents how to set it up and begin using it. Taking a closer look at the design, the body of the S1 is made out of polycarbonate plastic, but it feels very solid and has some rubber accents as well that makes it easier to grip and hold when you're sliding it along to create the prints. It comes included with this magnetic dock that prevents it from sliding around on a surface or desk, and more importantly also covers up the ink head when not in use to prevent it from drying out as quickly. Top here features a power on-off switch that you can press down to turn it on. There's an LED status light on the very top. There's also going to be some LEDs here once you are charging it that tells you how much percentage it's going to be charged at. And on the side here, there's just one key that you can tap on with your thumb to begin a print and then initiate it. So there's a quick print key. Now on the very top, you can also pull off this latch if you want to pop in the ink cartridge. So here's the cartridge. Again, it is a proprietary design this time, as opposed to the print cube, which is using a more of a generic square cartridge that you may find in HP printers. Pop in the ink head like so until it kind of snaps into place vertically, and afterwards we can just snap things back into place. This is again what the printer head now looks like. So one thing I do want to point out compared to the print cube here is the print cube does come with a traditional kind of tricolor ink cartridge, just like on regular printers. It's a color cartridge, which means that you are able to just print out in full color directly versus this one, which again the colors are separated. By default we have just the black cartridge that's going to be good for printing out logos and QR codes, barcodes, things like that, versus this might have a slight edge over smaller photos and images. So that's going to be a slight difference with the kind of cartridge design. The Selpic is thinner than the print cube, but at the same time it is a little bit wider as well, so the overall dimensions are not too far off. Both are going to be easy enough to pop into a pocket for transportation. Turning over to the companion application, Selpic S1. Upon connecting, we can see the battery life remaining of the printer. We can also see the Wi-Fi reception strength, and we can start inputting an image as well as seeing a preview down below here. So for example, if we tap on the text icon, we're able to just immediately start kind of writing something out. So let's just tap on the print key here, and we can see that the light here has now turned green. We'll set it down and then start to roll across, and it's now finished. So now it turns red when the print is completed. The printer is intelligent enough that it recognizes how fast that you're going, even if it's an inconsistent speed. For example, if you pause in between and then slow down and speed up, it tries to compensate to make the print still even and try to make the result still consistent regardless of how fast you're going. And the result itself, as you can see, is definitely very legible and quite consistent. And we're also able to do things like change the font. So we can tap on this to go through some of the kind of defaults that they have. There's a square font, there's a condensed font, there's also a black one, and here's the default. We can also do things like change to make it more bold. We can also do things like underline it, make it italicized, things like that, to make it strike through. We can go ahead and tap on the print, and now it's going to send that image over to the printer, and now we have a kind of preview also pop up on screen there. Kind of move across the page, and again, it is fairly consistent, and right now the font size is going to be a lot smaller, but things are still quite clear and legible. What's really cool here is that this strip can basically print as long as you want, as long as it's continuous. So you can see this bar here basically that you can use to take a look at the print preview if you're typing out a really long sentence. If it's more than just a few characters here, it can actually get all the way over to the right side of the scroll bar. Now, other things that you can edit, you can tap on the settings here, you can delete it, you can copy it, you can change the brightness, you can switch the orientation. Now, once an image is sent over to the printer, I believe you can just print it out by keep on pressing on the P if you just want to print out, say, OS reviews one more time without the need for, kind of resending it over. So the last image is going to be stored in the S1's memory until a new image is pushed over and replaces it. Other things that we can push over include images. So we're going to allow permissions. So right now, by default, there's going to be some emojis. By the end of this month, they will add the ability for you to add custom images as well, just like with the print cube. So it's going to just squish and rescale your images into this narrow 0.5 inch size so that you can also print it out. I do think that in the future they can also change the software so that you see the image as a preview even before tapping on print, because right now you can only see it pop up after tapping on the print key, so that is kind of an extra step. And let's see if we'll print onto it. I'm going to tap on the start icon and then start to roll across. We have to make sure that we really are touching it, but if we kind of flip it around and do it one more time, the result here is a little bit better. So overall, it definitely does work. The ink is indeed very quick drying, so if we give it a quick second here, and also with the paper here, we kind of cover it with our fingers. Again, nothing is falling out. Same thing here with the wood material, which is slightly glazed. It's also already dry, as you can see there. So after about 15 seconds or so, it tends to dry out. Controlling and knowing where the printer starts is something that takes a little bit of time to get used to, but after some practice, after about 1 or 2 centimeters is where the printer head actually begins and then stops. Let's try metal, so I'm going to tap on the print key here and then slide it along. We have changed to a really small font size, but it still is legible. So indeed, you can get to a pretty small amount of detail if you want to print super tiny versus, of course, much larger. Other things that you can do include QR codes and barcodes, which you can actually create directly in the app, youtube.com/osreviews, and tap on the Enter key. If we tap on the print preview, it should now generate a QR code, as we can see there. So for this demo, I'm going to try using a curved surface, that is a paper cup, and this is the kind of Pac-Man that we printed from the print cube earlier. So we're going to continue where we left off, now in a slightly different area, and see how it fares. And there we go. We have to go a little bit more slowly, but afterwards it does indeed work. And again, we do have a very legible QR code and the plus symbol that we had left over from before and didn't clear off. So indeed, you can actually print on curved surfaces, just like with the print cube. And indeed, it takes us to youtube.com/osreviews. This QR code automatic generation function, by the way, is missing from the print cube. So this is one advantage that this has. Again, printing barcodes and text, it seems to be a little bit stronger. Same thing goes with the, again, UI of the app. It's a bit more polished from an aesthetic perspective than the print cube, which was a bit more janky because it's using a web app that you have to enter through the web browser. Same thing with barcodes, you can enter your own kind of serial number. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I'm satisfied, let's see what that result will try and look like. You can see this is going to be the generated barcode, which if we scan, will give us that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paper. And you can see that indeed the barcode is now fully printed out. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the Selpic S1, an ultra-portable smart printer. And indeed, it's a really fun gadget to play around with, especially if you are kind of a DIY hobbyist or small seller, perhaps on Amazon or eBay, and you want to create lots of different barcodes for your merchandise. This is actually a great way to do that because of the built-in QR and barcode generation tools using the Selpic app. The printing process works better than expected. It's super fast to dry, so it's almost instantaneous. You can just kind of rub it it with your hands and nothing falls out. So it's a very good quality ink overall, and we do get a pretty consistent and easy to read kind of results as well. That said, compared to the print cube, potential disadvantages would be that the cartridges are more expensive because they are proprietary and they are single color, which is both pro and con. Again, if you are printing primarily text, then having just a black color here can last you longer than using kind of a tricolor cartridge. But if you want to print some photos, then that's where maybe the print cube might be a little cheaper. And it's definitely a very interesting conversation starter. It's a printer that can print on almost everything, again, even curved surfaces and pretty much every material, whether that's metal, ceramics, glass, wood, or just regular paper. So if you are interested, you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been a closer look at the Selpic S1.